Alright, man, that's enough.
I didn't think that was Virgil, you did. Actually. So this episode starts off at day 30 at the Commonwealth. They've already been there for 30 days. And it's Halloween in The Walking Dead and they're having this fair. And we see just how much they celebrate. Among the festivities, we hear more from Connie and Kelly, and we already knew she was a reporter from before, but we find out she was the reporter that got Pamela's uncle kicked out of Congress, which only screams more danger for Connie's character, with the type of sweep under the carpet person Pamela is, especially with how Lance will pretty much do anything to keep trouble out of Pamela's way. She already doesn't like that this new reporter girl is squeaking around, let alone the fact it's someone that got her family previously kicked out of Congress and in trouble and exposed before. And just when I thought things couldn't get happier, Carol looks over to Ezekiel after that conversation with Connie and Kelly and sees him grab his throat in pain. His illness hasn't got any better, he was just treated for the pain previously. And this is a big theme with this episode. Ezekiel does two things that I think are the biggest giveaways of what's going to happen to his character by the end of this season. And that's just it. He gives stuff away. He's now the zookeeper of the Commonwealth, the animal carer, and he let Jerry and the kids play with Shiva's chain. But when he sees that Jerry's son is sad about having to give it back, Ezekiel just gives it back for him to keep, something to remember him by. Then later on in the episode, he gives Carol Henry's ashes. So from giving away Shiva's chain to giving Carol Henry's ashes, he's inadvertently giving characters things to be remembered by. Even if he believes he can still survive, that's what he's doing. Even considering he gets that surgery sooner thanks to Carol doing stuff for Lance, even then, what if the whole point of this little storyline he's got going on is to get that surgery, for Carol to do all this stuff for Lance, and he still dies? And then we're back with Rosita and Daryl, and the scenes they had in this episode I actually really liked. I didn't expect this duo to be something I'd really like this, but I did like it. In part 1, she was talking about some my dead boyfriend talks to me in my sleep shit, like she was the type of person to mess around with crystals and gloat about how much of a Gemini she is and shit like that. Not to say I know the character better than the writers do, but Jesus. Here we see Daryl and Rosita being tested on if they can be Commonwealth soldiers or not. These are the trials they have to do. At first, what I thought they were going to do is show that every other character apart from these two would really struggle with the zombies, to show Mercer how much better and more experienced they are, but they actually all struggled. And something I noticed with a scene with Carol much later on as well is that she struggled with a couple of them. And what I think's happening, no, I don't think they're evolving, but they're showing that a lot harder to deal with right now in preparation for that new variant. In the recent, let's say 4 seasons, they've taken out all of the zombies pretty easily, but now, again, no, I don't think they're evolving, but I do think they're just going to start to show they're a lot harder to deal with. There's more weight to them, whatever size, speed or variant of zombie it is. They're more of a problem now. I mean, this scene, fair enough, they were limited, that's the point of it. Mercer was seeing what they could do, how they handled being limited to just one knife. But Carol, of all people, struggled just a bit more, and that's what I think will tend to start happening towards the end of The Walking Dead's main show. No, I don't think it will be a dramatic change, but just a small shift in which characters will struggle more. With this new variant being an idea, I think that's important.
You mind if I go with Espinosa? We make a good team.
Did I ask for your opinion?
Now after this scene, something quite funny happened, quite sweet. Daryl went back to his little apartment, and it's like the worst place because obviously he's got no job. It's like a council house, and in the Commonwealth you have this if you have no pay. And he went in there, there's loud music, there's babies crying, and it was literally like just a scene out of a life in the normal world. This is why I think the money that Daryl saw in the sewers in part 1 will come into play. He will cheat the system somehow because of what he saw, unless that's never mentioned again, but I think that would be quite odd. Just a suitcase of money. Again, the reason he'd use money is because in the Commonwealth that's what they use too. They just mark it as their own currency, so if he does that to that money, he could use it and get a better place. More ominously so, end up buying a gun when someone shouldn't.
You have to get this. It's so good.
I don't have any money.
A noticeable improvement in this episode is Judith and Princess. In just one scene they improved dramatically from what I didn't like about them. Judith has always been contrived and hard to watch. In this episode, not at all. Princess, she's almost stopped doing the impression of Harley Quinn completely. They were both good in this episode and I liked it. It wasn't hard, was it? Just don't be hard to watch. It was very natural in this episode. That's just what I need to even begin to think of liking an individual. And just just like the comics she's getting with Mercer. And you know me, I'm not going to sit here and be crazy about things like that. But she wasn't cringy, so it was an improvement all around. After seeing Ezekiel still in pain, Carol goes to see Yumiko's brother, Tommy, who is a doctor now, a surgeon. Remember, he was a baker. He just wasn't saying anything that he was a surgeon before the apocalypse. But now, apparently, with no penalization, he's a surgeon. That in itself is a bit of a worry with what Lance gets up to. But nonetheless, Carol sees that Ezekiel is way too high up in the surgery list. And Tommy says in order to get him higher up, so he's seen to first, it's a big ask. So she goes to spy on Lance, see what she can do for him, as he's the big man, he's the one that can change that for her. She sees he brings fake/real Stephanie a wine box that isn't satisfactory for Pamela. So Carol goes on her own mission to find this wine. If she can get that wine for Lance, then surely Lance will owe her a favour back. Now on this order letter, it is addressed to Ohio. When it comes to the Walking Dead universe, in fact the only thing common in Ohio when it comes to the Walking Dead is that in the comics the Commonwealth was actually set there, and we heard that big end credit scene at the end of World Beyond that the other team responsible for the virus that isn't in Paris is in Ohio.
J'étais à la conférence à Tolède,
En Espagne?
Ohio.
Those are the two things in common with Ohio in The Walking Dead. It will sprout from Ohio. Now I looked up this store, Vincenti's Fine Wines, and what I found was an actual real place called Vincent's Fine Wines. So if anything, if they've based it off of this real place, there's no other relevance to it. I even tried adding up the numbers on the page. I tried getting all I could, because it's a somewhat historical page when the date says 2010, you know, just before the apocalypse started in The Walking Dead. Believe it or not, with what we know now and what we saw of that scene set in France, any mention of Ohio in The Walking Dead with whatever project that is, whatever time it's set in, is of monumental importance. Carol gets the wine and returns to Lance. I really like their scenes together too. Yeah, it's ominous. Yeah, I don't think I'm on the same fucking page as any of it.
What's next? I'm glad you asked. Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't overthink it or anything though. No, I didn't overthink it. The wine translates to Castle of Devotion. What I get from this already is that even getting closer to Lance like that, even if it is to just get something out of it so he can push Ezekiel down the line in the surgery, Carol is going to be one of the first people to find out about what Lance is up to. You know, the real darkness to it all that there obviously is. This is the one dark scene in the episode.
Are there thousands more?
No.
It's literally the same sound we heard in the Rick Grimes movie teaser.
Are there thousands more?
No.
All these apparent rebels that we haven't seen. Apparently there are thousands like Tyler here. I think Lance is trading them all to the CRM. Carol will be the first to hear about this, if this is the case. I really like the take on Sebastian in the show as well. Obviously you're not meant to like him, but I love the character. It was haunting to see him touch Daryl like that. The man that killed Rick in the comics is touching Daryl. We get reintroduced to this new character, Tyler Davis. We saw him in the extra season 10 episodes, but now he's a soldier that's been let go of. He's got no job in the Commonwealth, no place to live, no support, because Princess beat him up, a prisoner beat him up. He's now a waiter, and he sees Pamela go on stage, and he speaks out. He threatens fake/real Stephanie. When Daryl goes and captures him, he gives Sebastian the glory pretty much. He gets to say to Pamela it was him that caught him. Now, once you would think, well no, he's getting on his good side then. He wouldn't do anything to him, he's nice. Small people like this see kindness as weakness, and he's just opened himself up to vulnerability. If he had pushed the little gerbil person out of the way and brought Tyler in himself, it would have showed toughness, that he can't get away with it. But him being nice, there was a really haunting moment there where he looked down and he was like, what was that Tyler kid talking about though? And I just hope it's not going to be a full circle moment where it comes back to bite him in the eye. A quote recently that shook me a little bit is from Norman Reedus, saying the one thing he wished he had from this season is more scenes with Carol. Why? I thought you were getting a spin-off with her. Something's a bit off, and I don't like how I felt about Sebastian touching him and shit and getting on his bad side. You would have thought, no, he's getting on his good side. That's not how it works with weak small people like this. I'm going to avoid even the possibility that Sebastian kills Daryl or Carol in some horrible twist, but I smell something in the air right now, and it smells like decoy. I don't like entertaining the idea at all, but it is so possible, and as disappointing and as morbid as that is right now to think of, what would stop them from doing that? They actually do follow the comics in a really big way with the obvious remixes, the character deaths, the characters that have left, but in a big way the core story has always followed the comics, and it will do up until the end of season 11, and then obviously the spin-off shows and everything else apart from the main show will be different, but this main show does follow its core story. So what if in the same way it could be decoying some spin-off when in reality one of those characters die? I obviously don't think that's going to happen right now, but that comment from Norman Reedus is actually quite terrifying in the grand scheme of things. Why would he want more scenes with Carol before the show ended? And on the subject of the comics and the story and how they have been the same or different, obviously there's been the remixes, but in the same way you can't say Maggie won't die in this show, for example, because in the comics she becomes a president. You can't in 2022 to still say that is actually just stupidity. No character has ever been safe purely because the character didn't die or did die in the comics. The only thing the show has adopted fully is the main story. The Commonwealth, Alexandria and the prison were always factors of it. Things like Daryl and the Reapers were added, but don't ever talk to me about the reason a character is safe, it being because in the comics they survived. It doesn't matter at all in that respect. In the last scene of the episode we see Rosita has been assigned to her own squad, and they raid the house of Tyler Davis. They find a secret room where rebels have been. Surprise, surprise, I see a CRM flight helmet. These paintings and sketches are all of Commonwealth guards. It's rebelling against them. But we see this one has fallen down, and behind it is literally a CRM flight helmet. I think the reason Pamela has absolutely no idea about there being rebels, I think it's because of Lance. I think he's been trading them with the CRM, and I think it's going to be Carol and or Eugene that find that out. Carol is doing this for Lance purely to get help for Ezekiel quicker, yet in the process she's clearly going to get closer to him and learn more than she let on she thought she would. I really enjoyed this episode. My only issue that I could even begin to consider having, which I don't right now because I trust this is the bold approach they're going to take, is that we're already seeing them at the Commonwealth. Didn't see them meet as such, we've just been thrown into it. They're already there, but again I just trust the bold approach they're taking. It's been really good so far, so I have no reason to doubt that it's not going to be getting further to episode 16. But what do you think? Do you think Lance is really trading rebels with the CRM? What do you think the major deaths of this season will be? Make sure you let me know down below what you think. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you press the like button. It helps me out and gets this video seen by more people. And if you did enjoy it, then check out this video where I talk about Rick Grimes actually being immune. This isn't something I'm 100% thinking is actually really going to happen, but it's more of a fun question that I've never actually got into on the channel. And if Rick is immune, if that's why the CRM have kept him for so long, because there's something in him, this is how I think they're going to implement that. This video explains how that would happen. Watch this video where I break down the full trailer for Better Call Saul Season 6. This is what I think is going to happen in it, and this is a release date. Watch this video where I was playing DayZ live and someone joined my game and pretended that they were Rick Grimes.
I got some tablets for you. Oops, I just ate it.
You fucking junkie. Are you ready for this, Rick? God, like such a
I'm gonna feed you some Pepsi. Can't have you dying.
I actually can't die. He ignored me. Rick? He's run off.
Actually, I'll try and make some rags. Cut your hands again.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you were saying. You were making me... Sorry, you cut out for a minute.
I'll try and make some rags.
Wait. Come back.
Got you some shotgun shells for that shotgun.
Oh, nice, thanks.
I think you can unlock some stuff with it. I'm not sure. I've never used them keys before.
Speak! So your name's Steffi. You're giving me a Steffi. Get some... Right. You just embarrassed me.
Yes. Hi. Hi. My name is Steffi.
Be shot, Mads. Be shot.
I will put your head onto the ground if you don't tell me what your name is.
Someone shot me.
Wait, you got shot?
Don't know where. Yeah, someone shot me.
Are you doing this, you little... She's a fucking decoy. You bastard. Trying to get us killed, is that what it is? What are you hiding? Tell us. With your fucking shorts on. She's got a knife! Nah, bye.